Back again. It's another day. It's a new day. It's a sunny day. It's a sunny day. It's my day, apparently. Sarah said it's my day. What am I going to do with it? Well, went out for breakfast. Dropped my car off to get some work done to it, so I think I'm going to sell it. And then, what else? That's about it so far. I might go out and start making my riding ring for the horses. Because apparently the word on the street is I was born this day about 100 years ago. There you go. Survived another one. Crazy. So I'm doing exactly what I want to do, which is this right now. The Adventure Dog has a big chunk of freeze-dried game meat out in the shop floor she's gnawing on, so she shouldn't be in here making too much noise. And then she's about to come into heat. Oh my god, is that annoying. So I guess I'm going to go get her done up so she won't have puppies. And Sarah's like, oh my god, her pups would be so cute. Sure they would. They would be ridiculously cute like she was. But I mean, think about it. Why would I do that? We don't want another dog. I don't want a puppy. Especially one that's going to turn into a 150-pound maniac. So, and then what? What, we're going to go have 10 or 12 puppies or something because you can sell them $1,000 a pop? Well, I'm not really much of a puppy mill guy, so nope. No across the board. But holy cow, she started getting aggressive and crazy when she's in the heat. It's just a big pain in the ass, especially when you've got a French bulldog trying to hump the leg off of a great big huge black dinosaur dog. Non-stop. It drives you bonkers. Well, there you go. That's the word of the street around here right now. Now, what do we got? I would like to hear, on my day, I would like to hear from the late, great Bobby Short. That's what I'd like to start. That's how I'd like to start off my day. Wipe the snot off of my glasses. I love hearing from Bobby. I especially love hearing from Bobby because of all the bad people that tried to stop her from speaking. Now, and it all helps. Actually had somebody, some douchebag actually emailed me and complained about hearing from Bobby Short when it's so long ago and there's so many people need to be heard. Holy shit. Shut the F up. Now, here we go. Okamasis First Nation Track Discovered is the title of this next little story in her book, unpublished book. The discovery of a footprint, 1/3 of a meter in length, on July 26, 1998, had members of a Saskatchewan Okamasis First Nation reserve looking for signs of an elusive creature called Sasquatch. Curiosity seekers point out that the tracks coincide with the disappearance of a dog and a bull on the Beardies and Okamasis First Nation Reservation in northern Saskatchewan. The footprints were spotted by Janet Gamble, who was jogging near her home. Her husband and his brother videotaped the tracks after realizing how easily they could be washed away. In an effort to determine the actual nature of the footprints, the Gambles contacted the RCMP. Mistake number one: the University of Saskatchewan and their reservation elders. The elders? Bingo. Since word of the mysterious visitor leaked out, the Gamble property has been overrun with curious people seeking a glimpse of the Bigfoot. Now, before we go on to a couple of quotes from this reservation, another reservation, and other ones, why do I say that's a big mistake reported to the RCMP? Well, it's obvious. The RCMP are actually here for the most part to protect the people in government and do their dirty misgivings, and that's a fact. There's a lot of good people who are into law enforcement because they care about the people, but unfortunately there is a very large amount of them who are willing to beat the living shit out of innocent Canadian citizens if they don't do what the dirty bastards of government want them to do, and that's a fact. So, for me, using common sense, if you come across something like this or some other kind of absolute crazy truth that affects your community and you go straight to the RCMP, that's not going to do anything for your community. That's going to be a messenger straight to the people who have direct link to the people who suppress knowledge and freedom from us. That's the way it is today. If that annoys you by me saying that, well, you're probably in the wrong place, because this is a truth and common sense channel. So, what I'm saying is, I'm explaining my reaction to, whoa, oh my God, the Sasquatch sighting. Phone the cops. Said no rational thinking person ever. Doesn't make sense. What you do is, you point it out to your community. You point it out to the people that live around you in that community where this went down, or anything else bizarre or significant that may affect you, your family, or your community. You be the voice to your community, and you tell it to all of the people. That's who counts. Okay? Currently, right now, unless something gets turned around, and the so-called system is actually truly geared up for the betterment of society, community, and the people. Okay, I'll just bite my lip. Sorry, what am I doing looking at my phone for? This is my day, I get to say anything, right? Prairie Island Reservation. Ray Owen, son of a Dakota spiritual leader from Prairie Island Reservation in Minnesota, told a reporter from the Red Wing, Republican Eagle, Minnesota. Quote, they exist in another dimension from us, but can appear in this dimension whenever they have a reason to. See, it's like there are many levels, many dimensions. When our time in this one is finished, we move on to the next. But the big man can go between. The big man comes from God. He's our big brother. Kind of looks out for us. 2 years ago, we were going downhill, really self-destructive. We needed a sign to put us back on track, and that's why the big man appeared, end quote. That was the son of a Dakota spiritual leader from the Prairie Island Reservation. So, what's a pattern in that quote? From more than likely somebody we need to listen to. The pattern is they exist in another dimension from us, but can appear in this dimension whenever they have a reason to. Do I believe that is fact myself? Oh, yes, I do. There's no way out of it. If you are actually listening to the people, that's a in-your-face pattern. There you go. Do I believe that? I absolutely believe that. When our time in this one is finished, we move on to the next. Do I believe that is fact? Me? Yes, I do. Absolutely. I believe that is fact. Myself? Anyway, there you go. Moving along. In a 1988 Minnesota News article headline, quote, giant footprints signal a time to see change, end quote. Ralph Graywolf, a visiting Athapascan Indian from Alaska, told the reporter, quote, in our way of beliefs, they make appearances at troubled times to help troubled Indian communities get more in tune with Mother Earth. Bigfoot brings signs or messages that there is a need to change, a need to cleanse. Interesting. The big man has appeared in many Indian communities. Standing Rock, North Dakota, Pine Ridge, South Dakota, and even Prairie Island, to name for a few. For some Prairie Island residents, it is a time to look quietly inward and seek spiritual guidance. Scientists have tried to debunk the evidence of the big man's existence, Graywolf pointed out, but they have never been able to disprove it. We call him Siha Tonka, Bigfoot, or simply the big man. There you go. F you, science. Dog ribs. One word. Dog ribs. People. Northwest Territories, Canada. According to the Dog Ribs Aboriginal people living in the Ray Lakes settlement in the Northwest Territories. The far north has as its season a long period of darkness where the sun does not shine at all. The lack of sunlight creeps up on the dog ribs at the end of October, and it stays completely dark for 5 months until March. That would be a little challenging, wouldn't it? Winters can be intense and long, yet they have active Sasquatch-like people they call Bushmen all winter long. Which begs the question, how do the Bushmen survive a winter in the Northwest Territories? Well, there goes the they hibernate underground theory. A particular sighting of the Bushman is described in this manner, who is tall and hairy, running on its 2 hind legs. The hair was long and hung from its body in a wild manner. It was so fast, it was gone in a flash. The dog ribs say say the beastly creature lurks in the bush, ready to abduct anyone traveling alone, and the poor victims abducted by the creature are never seen again. If they are usually found either mute or mentally deranged or both. A lot of contradicting things said in different communities, right? Never hike alone, you'll be abducted. You come back crazy. And then you got another native community saying they are sort of look out for us in a way, and they let us know when shit's going sideways and we got to get better. Which one is it? Abduct us and eat us, or look out for us, right? Confusing. After subscribing to the Bigfoot newsletter, a graduate of Aurora College in North Slave, Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, calling herself Tuck, T-A-H-K, that's Tuck is actually thank you in Norwegian, told me the Bushmen were greatly feared. Brave men, she said, turn into jello when the Bushman makes an appearance. Everyone locks their doors. There are stories about women in particular who simply vanished from the rural areas of Yellowknife. The blame was put on the Bushmen who took them for wives. In recent years, the Bushman has been seen coming in closer than usual. Few men volunteered to track the Bushman. Tuck said the monster ranged upwards of 10 feet tall and was very powerful. The fear of the Bushman is so great that several men carry elephant guns. When I filed Tuck's report, I felt compelled to school myself on what an elephant gun was. The best description of the rifle that size was owned by the larger-than-life author Ernest Hemingway. It was a double-barreled .577 caliber Nitro Express that was manufactured in 1913, expressly for Hemingway by Wesley Richards Arms Firm in the UK. The gun weighed nearly 16 pounds and was meant to be used to drop a trophy bull elephant in charge, thus its name. Today, the lightweight 600 Overkill by Bayou Creek Gunsmithing was manufactured and meant to bring down a 2,000-pound wild Asian water buffalo. It weighs much less than Hemingway's rifle. Online YouTubes show the video. Okay, we don't need to be here about guns, no big deal. Ho Nation. Ho, Olympic Peninsula Rainforest, Washington. Gene Sampson reported finding 2 sets of footprints measuring 14 inches long and another set measuring 17.5 inches long by 8 inches wide. The larger of the 2 tracks had a big toe measuring 3 inches wide. A big toe measuring 3 inches wide. We may have read this one because I did flip through the book like a dumbass. From the back to front and sometimes the middle, so I might have screwed this up, but whatever. Oh, the big toe in the smaller imprint was 2 inches across. Sampson also found bark broken from trees 20 feet high. The Bureau of Indian Affairs investigated and they were skeptical. The late Dr. Grover S. Krantz said of the Ho tracks that he believed the evidence suggested one male and one female Sasquatch. The late Richard Greenwell, upon hearing the Ho evidence on July 1st, 2000, expressed in his delightful charismatic apathy, a phrase often attributed to him, quote, "Evidence of such creatures remains inconclusive." Hold on a minute. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I absolutely believe in Bigfoot. After I evaluate all the data and read all the information, then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I think it's all nonsense. On Sundays, I rest. Too bad Krantz and Greenwell are no longer with us. I think both men would be astounded at recent revelations and research. Screw the frickin' sciences. Okay, I'll bite my lip. Bite my lip. I think possibly why possibly why I'm about to spew off at the slightest comment about any kind of authority or science right now. I think it's probably I'm getting a little more fueled lately, as of late, because of all of our insanity being exposed in our existence right now. I can't shut up about it. How could you? How could you shut up about it? But I can't. I don't know how so many people just turn to look the other way. Pretend it's not going on. Every single thing we've been taught is an effing lie. Everything. Doesn't that frustrate you? Especially if you're a parent. Doesn't that really frustrate you and make you concerned about your children? For real? You're just giving a little pat in the bum and send them off to that public school again. All right, I'll stop. I'll stop. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Nez Perce Nation, Lapwai, Idaho. In August 92, Tess Green Sherman said she and 3 other people watched a Bigfoot move rapidly uphill through farm and Nez Perce grazing land. Sherman and her family were enjoying dinner in town when they noticed the Bigfoot. It was black and it was huge. It stopped and looked at us, Sherman said. Authorities of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, investigated a string of Bigfoot sightings in and around Lapwai, but William Aubertin, the supervisor of criminal investigations, drew a 0, trying to find any evidence after a team of BIA officers scoured the hills west of town of Lapwai. Asked if it might be a hoax of some kind, Sherman replied, "No way it was going up that hill much too fast. I couldn't walk up that hill as fast as it did." Sherman said she was skeptical after initial reports started coming in 3 weeks earlier, but after seeing the creature for herself, she became a believer. They are out there. Yes, they are. Paiute Indian Reservation, Maddox County, Alturas, California. Kenneth Sam claimed he spotted a hairy giant man-like creature roaming outside a house he was guarding on the Paiute Indian Reservation. Guarding a house. Sam's cousin, Nisha Comanche, said she found small footprints last week of what she believes is a young Bigfoot on the reservation near the California-Oregon border. Sam said the Bigfoot was 8 feet tall and was walking on 2 feet. He shined a flashlight on the creature from 40 yards away, and at first it ran toward him, and then it fled. It was big, dark, and hairy looking, he said. It had silver eyes, and it moves pretty fast. It's a lot bigger than a football player, and it has quite a reach. It also seemed like it just glides. It seemed curious. I thought an antelope was fast, but this guy was pretty fast. While Sam did not believe the creature was dangerous, he lit fires outside the house for several nights. It seems to be scared of fire. It doesn't come down when the fire is burning. Sam's cousin Nisha Comanche said she found clearly defined footprints of what she believes is a baby Bigfoot that walked through a mud puddle outside of her home. The prints are almost human, but they're not, because of the furry hair on their foot. That's an interesting mention. Furry hair on the foot combined with a print. Possibly. Southern California Indians, known generally as the Gabrielino, Shoshonian, linguistic stock, occupied lands and maintained fairly large settlements along the Santa Ana River, from its headwaters in the mountains north of San Bernardino to the Pacific Ocean. According to records kept by Spanish priests in the 1770s, and later verified by historians Reed and Harrington, an area east of Chino and along the Santa Ana River was known to the Indians as Rancho of the Devil. Apparently, a sizable stretch of the river between Riverside and Chino was the domain of Towis or Tukwis, a giant hairy man-like beast. Though the exact location was unspecified in the record, a place on the south banks of the river was called Towispuki, or Camp of the Devil. This devil was said to leave a stench and roam about at night. Go figure. North of Chino, California, between the cities of Pomona, Laverne, and parts of Claremont, was a place called Toy Bipet, Toybipet, or Devil Mountain who was there. Or Devil Woman who was there. The Devil Woman was said to be very tall with large feet and hands, long toenails and fingernails, and, quote, as fast as a deer, end quote. In the early 1900s, old Gabrielino Indians told Harrington that white hunters very long ago had trapped the Devil Woman, but later freed her. The capture ostensibly took place in the 1820s among the Gabrielinos of southern Riverside County. The giant tuckwis lived in a cave on Lily Peak, west of Palm Springs. Oh wow. Nearby Tuckwit's Peak got its name from tuckwis. The southern version of the tuckwis was widely associated with bright flashes of light and flying balls of light. Heard that before? A major landmark, Mount San Jacinto, was also considered the home of tuckwis. It just goes on and on and on. Partly Assiniboine and partly Athabascan, the Slavey Indians in the Yukon and parts of Alaska used the term Nagain to describe the hairy bush giants known to kidnap very young children from their homes and take them into the wilderness. Okay, hold on. One more. White Mountain, Apache Nation, eastern Arizona. Footprints, tufts of hair, and ear-piercing screams in the night signal the return of the hairy man of the White Mountains on the Apache Reservation. According to Colette Altaha, there have been more sightings than ever before. It cannot be ignored any longer. The main town on the reservation is Whitewater. A 25-year resident, Marjorie Grimes, said that no one has had a negative encounter with the Bigfoot since 1982. The most recent sighting on Apache land was in 2004 when Grimes was driving home from the town of, I'll never pronounce this one right, Cibeque, Cibecue, Arizona. Noticeable is the way Bigfoot walks. It takes huge strides, and most are black-haired. In 2006, tribal police made plaster casts from the footprints. The Arizona Fish and Game Department does not investigate Bigfoot sightings. Neither does the state veterinarian's office, a division of the Arizona Department of Health Services. In fact, the U.S. government officials deny Bigfoot exists. I guess we shouldn't be reporting anything to those people then, right? Tribal Police Lieutenant Ray Burnett wants outsiders to realize that the department takes these calls seriously, and so should you. The calls we're getting from solid citizens. They weren't hallucinating, they weren't drunks, they weren't people that we know can make hoax calls. They're from real citizens of the Fort Apache Indian Reservation. Tribal Police Lieutenant Ray Burnett. Dude, you are a superhero, and you are exactly what communities need. And no more than you is what communities need. And there you go. Isn't that so? If you look at it from a different angle, when you take note, the Arizona Fish and Game Department does not investigate Bigfoot sightings. Neither does the state veterinarian's office, a division of the Arizona Development of Health Services, and in fact, the U.S. government officials deny it. There you go. There's some names you add to the list to never discuss anything with ever. Right? Ever. You do not discuss anything with those people. If anything, you shut them off completely. You cut them off the Achilles heel with funding, with a voice, and you just make them disappear because they have nothing to do with making your community better. There you go. Please, everyone, realize these things because it's in your face. It's in your face daily that these people, okay, I'll bite my lip. You know what I'm saying, right? Get it through your thick melons. Take away the power they've taken from you. Only talk to the people. This channel is a testament to what happens when the people have a voice, right? Yeah, I'm repeating myself, but what do? That's what you're supposed to do, right? You keep repeating the truth until it sinks in. Now, what do we got here? Okay, this is 2 parts. 1 part for everybody, 1 part for me by the looks of it. It's from our friend Rob Duvall, who spent a lifetime investigating much, and I believe knows a lot. The guy who was being bothered, who had kids and sent the footprint pic, is the title of his email. Steve, I was debating whether to add this or not since I sent a few emails just the other day. Fuck, sometimes I miss so many emails. The footprint is unique. I really don't think it was a sabe. When I was studying the dogman history, I came across a lot of drawings done after encounters with them by early explorers who encountered their clans on islands and such. There's a time when they were actually living amongst humans trying to integrate. Excuse me. At least the pictures and the text indicated such. They were often depicted with human feet, human arms, and dog heads. You recently read some accounts of people picking up hitchhikers with goat legs. Yeah, we've heard that a couple times, and that is frickin' creepier than shit. I wrote about this matter years ago, but since you have not read the material, I want to educate you as briefly as I can. A hybrid animal /human /Nephilim can go many different directions in physical development depending on the locations of the genetic splicing. A dog man can, for instance, have dog legs, human hands, and a human head. Would that be something else to see in broad daylight? Or it can have a dog head, human hands, and human legs and feet, or it can have appendages that are transitional between the dog and human with a dog head. This is coming from somebody who studied this topic for like 40 years, you guys. So, okay, sorry, moving on. So many are seen that are mostly dog-like everywhere, but have that muscular human body and hand-like appendages, but look a little more like a raccoon and have long claws. That is a typical encounter, whether on all fours or upright. Muscular human legs, but with dog hocks and pads that are massive. I recall one encounter where a mother and a daughter saw it in a clearing on the fours that stood up and walked into the forest on the other side of the clearing, barely going under a branch. The next day they measured to the branch, and it was 17 feet. While that height is anomalous, it indicates definite giant prominence in the genetic makeup. Remember, it's a hybrid, and each of the constituent parts are expressed in different portions depending on the original splicing, the interbreeding with others of its kind over generations, and the occasional dominance that can be expressed many generations later of a gene that has otherwise remained dormant. It's like a black person born with blue eyes. Several forgotten generations back mixing that took place is only expressing itself now. Back to the footprints sent into you. They are only 7 inches long by 3.5 inches wide, and the heel is relatively narrow. 4 toes forward, apparently no claws. It would be easy to write them off as a bear, but they aren't, and you know that. The ones I came across only a few months into my field outings, just up the road from my house, were 11 inches long, narrow heel of only 1 inch. 4 to 5 inches wide at the base of the toes, 3 toes forward with claws. 1 off to the side, 1 inch back on the side of the foot from the base of the other toes with claw. This was a V-shaped print. It is my assertion that the narrow heel indicates a mixture of human heel and hock joint. It is a hybrid foot. It is difficult to estimate the height, but for grins, I come to the conclusion that if taller than 6 feet, it would have difficulty with balance. So, I was standing there at the print site imagining that a 6-foot dog man was not too far off watching me, as apparently in this drizzly dusk setting, and I had interrupted whatever it was doing. I found a 4-foot long stick with dirt on the outer portion that was stuck into a mountain beaver hole by the prints. Pretty desperate going for those ugly things. The only difference between the prints I found and those sent to you, the toes were toes, whereas mine were dog pads with claws, and all toes forward, whereas mine were 3 forward and 1 offset, and off to the side at about a 45-degree angle. The differences are easily accounted for with the incredible number of ways that genes can be mixed and expressed. It is probably one of the main reasons no one agrees when comparing and trying to come up with answers. This goes across all of the animal hybrid mixes, whether goat, bird, or dog. There were 200 different animal species mixed originally. Imagine the variations. People still use the term werewolf, and I'm not going to claim to be an expert. We also know that transitional forms do take place, but you can see that much of the confusion can come from seeing something that is an apparent mix with human involved. Not all watchers have the capacity to shift form. Think of the term watcher as a job title with many different kinds taking that station. One kind is orb-like until it takes form. You can also transition form from one to another. For you only if you decide to read this email. Okay, and then the rest is on for me. Hold on a minute. All right, here we go. Just so you guys know, sometimes, my lips don't mesh up with the brain smoothly, but Robert has dug and dug and dug at all of the true history around the globe, going back basically forever. Because as you know, what is it? The victors... What's the saying? The victors control the history or something like that? The narrative? But there's still evidence left from a long time ago pointing to truth. I hope I just got that across smoothly, Robert. I don't think I've had my 2 copies yet. But anyways, I think there's a lot of weight in there if you go back and you focus on the true histories of each country, each community, wherever it is you want to look, and look at the truth of what was shared so long ago and not erased completely. That's what I'm saying. It's easy for Robert. He's looked into this, 40 years or some damn thing. It's easy for him to throw down what he's learned. It's not so easy for me to repeat everything I read from him, all right? But from what he's gotten across to me clearly is our history has been erased. Obviously, there's been a huge effort into erasing truth. There's no doubt about that. But he has uncovered a shit pile of evidence that goes back a long time that points to everything he shares here, including the splicing. All right? Now, I just read a whole bunch of paragraphs, so my brain's a little bit flustered from the original read. Excuse me, one of those days, right? Or I hope I'm making sense. I might not be, but let's cross our fingers because I'm posting it anyway. Now, what have we got here? This is from a couple years ago, waiting to be heard. Titled, Interesting Experience. Steve, what you're doing for this topic is very honorable, and I have the utmost respect for you. I truly believe all of the effort and work you're putting into this is making a positive difference. The story I have to share may not be as exciting as some of the others you have shared, but there are some details that make it intriguing. Feel free to share it on your channel. Oh, I'm going to share it, and I appreciate the kind words. My name is Forrest. I live in a little less than an hour outside of Estes Park, Colorado. Estes. I have grown up just a half hour from hundreds of thousands of acres of national forest, as well as the 420 square mile Rocky Mountain National Park. Needless to say, I've always tried to spend as much time outdoors and goofing off in the woods. Oh, sorry. Sometimes I read the sentences off. Let me do that again. Needless to say, I've always tried to spend as much time outdoors and goofing off in the woods. In the summers, I'm a tour guide for a company that does truck tours through RMNP, as well as some rock crawling excursions through the national forest. In the fall and winter, I guide elk, deer, moose, and sheep hunts. Oh, right on. I'm now 26, and I've been doing my seasonal work in the mountains for several years now. I've always joked that I retired when I was 19. Although I've never had a physical sighting, I've always been a believer in Sasquatch/Bigfoot. I figure with all the eyewitness reports, they can't all be full of shit, right? That's exactly right. Before I share my story, I think it's important to note that where my story occurred was almost directly in between Camp St. Malo and Poudre Canyon. disappearances that Dave Plottis highlights in his Missing 411 series. It was about 4 years ago in July. I was lucky enough to draw an elk tag in the unit I guide in. That whole summer I spent every minute of free time scouting and trying to pattern a nice bull. There was a part of our unit I had never set foot in. After countless hours studying maps and Google Earth, I found a pretty sweet chunk of Forest Service that had everything a big bull would want: water cover and a large portion of burn area producing quality food. The only way to access the burn area was to hike straight up off trail for about 1,400 vertical feet and about a mile in distance. Story of my life. The day I decided to check it out, I invited a long-time hunting and fishing buddy of mine because I always try to go into the woods with another person in case something were to happen. Not me, unfortunately. I just don't. I've known this friend since we were in both preschool, and we spent many hours together in the wilderness. He's the type of hunting buddy where a simple glance or wave of the hand can convey boatloads of information. The plan is to hike up to the burn and explore glassing points and maybe find a shed or two. It was about 12:30 p.m. We arrived at the base of the wall we were about to hike. No other vehicles were present. And like I said, it was an almost straight vertical hike. There was a creek coming out adjacent to the wall we had to succumb, so we knew we could follow that back to the truck if we got lost. Myself, my friend, and his 4-month-old black lab puppy started to hike up the north-facing slope. The north face kept us cool and comfortable, even though the sun was on this... The north face kept us cool and comfortable, even though the sun was out on this bluebird day. We periodically took hiking breaks, since we had a long day ahead of us. This was your typical north-facing slope. Thick ponderosa, spruce, and Douglas fir trees to pick through as we went along. And suddenly, as we were halfway up the incline, it started to dump rain on us. This was no drizzle. This was rain. This rain was borderline monsoon. It was raining so hard. My friend and I had to shout at each other just to hear one another. I know when it comes to the weather, you should always expect the unexpected. However, this was bizarre. We were in the middle of a drought year. I checked the weather forecast before I left my house, and we weren't expecting any precipitation for at least another week. My friend and I were standing on the hillside in lightweight gear. We obviously weren't prepared for this. Still, it was a cool experience to be in the middle of a storm such as that one. And at this point, we are still facing upward, contemplating calling it quits. As we are taking it all in, my friend's puppy started acting up. All the hair on her back is straight up. She's whimpering / growling and nervously pacing around. We say to another something along the lines of, "What in the hell's gotten into her?" We finally make the decision to return to the truck, and we both turn around, and we're now facing downhill. As soon as we turn around, the dog gets on her hind legs and puts her front paws on both of our backs. Almost as if she's saying, "Go now." My friend and I were both puzzled by this, and before we could say anything about it, we heard a loud, short whoop. My friend and I have always been curious about Sasquatch, and I knew he was thinking the same thing I was. Was that really what I think it was? I tried looking in the direction I thought I heard the noise come from. I even took a few steps away from my friend. As I did, a foul stench unlike anything I've ever smelled overwhelmed me so much, I swear my eyes started to water. I looked back at my friend and saw the stern look on his face. We nodded and hurried back down the hill, the dog whimpering the whole time. On our way down, we heard the whoop one more time, just as loud as the last. Looking back at this adventure, I wonder how close and how loud the sound really was, since it was raining so hard. We had to shout out at each other. Once we could see the truck, the rain stopped just as quickly as it had started. The sun came out and the birds were chirping almost as if it never rained at all. No other vehicles were near ours or even on the same road on the drive back to town. My buddy and I have rarely spoke about this incident since it occurred. whenever one of us brings it up, we always come to the same conclusion. I guess we'll never know for sure. That wraps up my story. I was shown your YouTube channel by a close friend of mine. I enjoy hearing you read the emails you receive and figured that I should share my story as well. I look forward to the next video you put out. It's always entertaining, and I enjoy your positions on many topics in the world today. Keep fighting the good fight and kicking ass, Steve. Best regards. Forrest Wetterstrom. Forrest, appreciate you, man. I hope you're knocking the shit out of it there on your guided hunts. And you know what it was. At this stage of the game, with the pattern shared by tens of thousands of people here, you know what it was, man. You know what it was. There isn't a question about it. Now, don't be surprised if it happens again either, right? Probably has since you emailed me, I'd imagine. Here's another one. My Encounter is the title of this email. Hello, Steve. First, I want to start out by saying you're a true definition of honest, courageous, and badass. I have the utmost respect for you and all you do. My name is Sam Fitzgerald. Use my name all you want, as I give zero fucks as to what others think or will think of me after you're hearing about my encounters. There you go. Read word for word. Thanks for the kind words, man. I have a couple of encounters I'd like to share with you and all the people out there. If what I have to say or what happened to me can help anyone else out there, then reliving this encounter by telling you what happened makes it all worth it. Right on. Love it. I just worry because this is a long story and would be a huge email to type out and have you read that way. But it's a pretty damn good one that people are going to want to hear. So read through this and let me know how you want to go forward. This is just an email explaining that my story will take up a chunk of your phone's battery. The first encounter is 2019. The one to follow that changed me for the rest of my life and entered me into the club of no return. It happened in 2020 while bow hunting elk. I was about 2 miles in, on foot, solo, when this being came to greet me and let me know I was not welcome there. He not so nicely, in a better way to say it, quote, walked me back to my truck, end quote, and I seen him twice. First time was about 30 yards away in thick timber with binoculars. Oof. Second time was in the wide open, as I was being escorted out of the canyon. He wasn't quiet either. I was yelled at. I'll never forget that sound for the rest of my life. It's almost like what I imagine It was almost like what I imagine. An Aboriginal screaming a sentence that I could tell was words but did not understand the language to know what it was said. And like I said, even this email describing it is long. So many more details and events to this 2-mile encounter. If this email reaches you, please tell me how you want to proceed. I want people to hear this. People need to hear this. Let me know if you want me to type it all out or tell it over the phone or whatever works. I heard in one of your videos you talked about possibly in the future starting like a one-on-one chat interview style possible venue. That would work too. You're probably one of the most busiest guys I've ever heard of, so I understand if it takes you a while, if at all, to get back to me. Stay safe, stay you, and keep fighting the good fight. Thanks, Sam from Utah. Sam? You are going to get yourself an email as long as I can find your email again. Now, put this as email this guy. All right. So what I'm going to do when I get off of here, I'll keep this open on my phone right now. And I will get a hold of Sam. And if he wants to do the Zoom thing, if you're still here, Sam, I'm guessing you might be, man. Where's that? Oh, that folder. Okay, hold on a minute. Email this guy's at the top of that folder. All right. Gotcha. So, I'll try to do that right now. And then if you want to, we can do the Zoom thing. If you want, if you have that urge to do that for the people, I'll facilitate that in a second, all right? Excuse me. So, if you're here right now, one thing that you need to do, or anybody else that gets an email from me to do this, is get your Zoom thing lined out. make sure it's hardwired, meaning your internet is plugged into your device. Because we've shown in the past that the Wi-Fi sucks ass. And then what? Then I have to find a spare few hours for me to line it up with you. Email back and forth a couple times, settle on that time, and then we'll do it. All right? So there you go. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that right after I shut this camera off. Now what am I going to do? I'm all over the map because I have a lot I want to get done. And my brain is obviously ripping around right now. Thursday, tomorrow, we're out of here. Tomorrow afternoon, out to the coast for a handful of days. I think that's about it. I never write shit down. I know that frustrates a lot of people. But it frustrates me too. Maybe I should start one of these days. Anyway. What am I forgetting to mention, you guys? Something damned important, damn it. I guess I'll just bite my lip and say to make sure that you do what you love to do as soon as you can, then later, all right? Make sure you do it. And whatever it is you love to do, make sure you open that door for your kids or some young people somewhere to give them the opportunity to have that same enjoyment as well, all right? Doors for the children need to be kicked open, especially today. Real ones in the real world. What else? What else? If you can, find some hungry kids and feed them. All right? You can feed them through us by the membership. Or you can go find them in your community and feed those little suckers. All right? There's a lot of hungry children out there right now, and they all need to be shown that their community gives a shit about them. And that will make them give a shit about their community as they grow up. And they will not forget that ever. And hopefully that will be the seed planted to make sure that community comes back. Because community is being stolen from us nonstop. It's very important. So, you can feed kids through us, through the subscription option on this channel, or please go find some hungry kids near you and get those tummies filled. All right? That's another message I could pass on. And what else? Fishing? I think there's a handful of days yet open if you want to come salmon halibut fishing with me, I think. That's in a link below, I'm pretty sure. Goes in there. What else? These freaking stickers, decals, decals, whatever you want to call them. These things are literally around the planet. How cool is that? If you got one, take a picture of it and tell us where you're from. We'll post that photo up on the community page. There's going to be a lot of people honking around the globe at each other, right? Because, let's face it, nobody knows what that means. Right? People that aren't familiar with this topic. What is that? It's definitely a conversation starter. And then, if somebody doesn't really feel comfortable talking about this topic with someone who isn't versed in it, at least they can just say, well, it just means once you know, you know. And that can pertain to a lot of topics, right? Once you know, you know. You're in the club of no return. There's no getting out of it. Oh, so that link's in the below too. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Get it to the people. I don't give a shit if you share it here. I don't give a shit where you share it. As long as you share your truth openly, honestly, and with your community. All right? With your neighbors, with your coworkers, whoever. Share the truth. Okay? You got to get past you have to get past the human condition of being scared, insecure, of ridicule of your fellow human being. That's very wrong. And that has been imprinted us intentionally since the first time we went to public school. Is scared of ridicule from the people around you. I am certain that's where it originated from. It's wrong. And it's part of our everyday lives today, is being scared of what people think. Shitty deal, right? Shitty deal. Lose it. Lose the fright of your neighbor. Don't be scared of people. Get your truth out no matter what, because it's going to help somebody, right? Community. True community. That was, I believe, is the, if you can tear down community, then you own the asses of all those lost souls that come out of there, right? So, buck against it. I'm going to go. One of those moods today, obviously. Keep sharing me your truth. If you want it heard word for word, you can share it through me. All right? If not me, just get it out somehow. Get it out to somebody. I'll be back later. Hopefully they'll break another rod. Got him. It's a keeper. There. It is. Yeah. Some more like it. On the camera. I hope it worked.